The observation deck of the wandering star was silent, save for the hum of life support systems and the occasional creak of metal expanding in the void. Sarah had come here to escape the cargo bay, where the crew argued over supply ratios and fuel calculations. She needed quiet. She needed to think. Instead, she found Kivik. The young Velian sat cross-legged before the viewport, staring not at the stars beyond, but at his own reflection in the reinforced glass. His fur, a soft gray-brown that would darken with age, gleamed faintly in the starlight. His oversized ears twitched occasionally, listening for sounds only he could hear, but his amber eyes, sharp and intense, were fixed on himself, and Sarah paused at the doorway. She had been traveling with the Velian pod for 3 months, ever since their ship rescued her escape vessel from the wreckage of a mining station on T7. The Velian were a proud warrior culture, their history written in conquest and glory. Every adult she had met carried the assured confidence of predators who had never questioned their place in the universe. Kivik was different. He was still learning what it meant to be Velian. Sarah approached slowly, footsteps deliberately audible. The cub's ears swiveled, but he didn't turn his head. "Mind if I join you?" she asked. His shoulders tensed, then relaxed. "It is a shared space," he said, voice carrying the formal cadence of his people when uncertain. "You do not require permission," Sarah replied, smiling. She had learned long ago that Vel and Young were trained in protocols before combat, manners before murder, as one elder had joked. She sat beside him, close enough to be companionable, distant enough to respect his space. For a long moment, they watched the stars together. "Why do you look at your reflection?" she finally asked. Kivik's ears flattened. "I am examining." "Examining what?" He flexed his claws, scraping lightly against the deck. "Whether I look like them, like a warrior." Sarah studied him. Small by Velian standards. Lean where he should have been broad. His muzzle still rounded with youth, free of the scars that marked veteran fighters. She had watched the other cubs spar, vicious even in play, and how Kivik always ended up pinned, panting on the floor. "Do you think you do?" she asked gently. He stared back at his reflection. "No, I look weak." Weakness among Velians was the greatest shame. To admit it was to question one's right to exist. Sarah had watched it firsthand. Cubs training with blunted blades, elders missing limbs still sparring. Strength was everything. "Can I tell you something about humans?" she asked. Kivik pricked his ears. Curiosity overcame melancholy. "Yes, we were never the strongest species on our planet," she began, voice low, as if sharing a secret. "Predators could tear humans apart with ease. By every measure, they should have been prey. But you survived," Kivik said, statement more than question. "We thrived. Do you know how?" He shook his head. "We learned to see strength in unexpected places." She gestured at his reflection. "The body is one kind of weapon. The mind is another. The heart is another." He frowned. "I do not understand." "Look at your reflection again. Really look." He obeyed. "I see small shoulders, soft fur, weak limbs. Look deeper." He stared into himself, backlit by the nebula outside. "I see. Someone who is afraid." "Yes, and do you know what it takes to sit here, knowing you're afraid, and still face your reflection? That's not weakness. That's courage." For the first time, he looked fully at her. "The others have never had to question themselves. You're being forged in doubt, and that makes you dangerous in ways they'll never understand." "How can doubt make me dangerous?" "It teaches you to think, to adapt, to find solutions others miss because they rely on brute force." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "On Earth, we say, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog." Kivik tilted his head, processing the strange idiom. "I've seen you in the training bay. You get knocked down more than the others, but you always get back up. That's not weakness. That's the most important strength there is." He looked back at his reflection. Something shifted, not confidence yet, but the seed of it. "The others say I will never be a warrior. They are wrong. I see someone brave enough to face their fears. Someone smart enough to question themselves. Someone strong enough to keep trying, even when it hurts. You look brave to me, Kivik. Not in spite of your doubts, but because of them." For a long moment he said nothing. Then, barely audible, "Thank you." They sat together as the wandering star sailed through the cosmos. Outside, the universe burned with ancient light. Inside, something small and precious was kindled. The understanding that bravery wore many faces, and strength came in forms that could not be measured in claw or fang. The warrior who knows fear and fights anyway is the most dangerous warrior of all. And when Kivik looked at his reflection now, he saw not what he lacked, but what he was becoming. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.